Now, Dewald, as a major contributor to the South African economy, how could compartmentalization in our red meat industry help us grow the economy?
Mac, what we can do is we create actually a product at the end of the day that is very much sought after and that is differentiated from other products. It's like they say in King 4, comply or explain. So we'll have the opportunity to create something that we can sell, actually boast with, and we can sell it to the rest of the world.
Now, joining us to further discuss compartmentalization and the economy, please welcome Dr. Sifiso Ntombela from the National Agriculture Marketing Council. Welcome, Doc.
Thank you very much, and thank you for welcoming me.
Sifiso, good to have you.
Likewise, man. I'm so happy to be here.
Good. Sifiso, tell us about yourself. What do you do? You're a doctor now, recently. Congratulations. But what do you do? Where are you? And what does the NAMC do?
Thank you. Yeah, I think now we're getting used to this name, doctor. I think people started calling me back up Sifiso after some time that I forgot my name. But I think to start off with, the National Agriculture Marketing Council is the agency of the Department of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development, which is now the new department I've merged with Agriculture and Rural Development. And I think it's an agency that plays a very key role in the agricultural sector because, as we know, during the deregulation of the sector, it is the agency that provides that administration and making sure that it even administers the statutory measures, which is the main instrument that is used by industries to continue collecting levies and finance functions that are critical for the viability of the sector. But we also do a lot of work in terms of providing policy advice into the ministry, as well as to the stakeholders that are directly affected into the agriculture sector. So you could think of the National Agricultural Marketing Council as the agency that provides all the decisions that are required to keep our sector viable and be able to be prosperous going forward.
So, Sifiso, we had Dr. John Gruer here this morning. We've had Sean Morris. We've had Dr. Mpomaja from the department here. And what we all said, and actually the conclusion we came to up until now, is that compartments is possible. But a portion of the compartments which we narrowly touched on was traceability. And traceability forms a portion or a subsection of this. Now, my question is, what would traceability mean for our economy as a whole, and how would it affect the emerging sector per se?
That's a very interesting one. And I think I wanna link it with the word I said earlier when I'm opening up on around the deregulation part during that phase. And I think having to institute the compartmentalization concepts as well as institute the capacity to create our traceability into the sector, it will really have a strong spillover effect into our economy and as well as into our emerging farmers, to be specific. Now, let's give you why I say those things. Let's first understand that animal industry, red meat to be more specifically, it's an industry that is it's the biggest industry in the agricultural sector. And it can, even though it doesn't provide so much jobs at the primary level, but the spillover effect and its interlinkages with your manufacturing, which is your textile and other industries, it can have really a strong impact into our communities, into our rural sector. Now, you mentioned the point to say, what impact would it have into our economy? First of all, if we be able to implement those concepts correctly, we'll be able to increase the confidence and be able to link those animals with the markets. And we can even enter into the export markets, which can generate foreign earnings that will help not only just our emerging farmers, but it will help our country, and it will help also to create a positive trade balance. So we see those concepts and we see those systems, especially the traceability, because it can assist to trace the animals and ensure that you create access into market. As we know, traceability nowadays, which links into the food safety, consumers are very particular to what they eat, where it comes from. And that system will assist us to bring that confidence of the consumers and be able to grow our animal sector, which is the sector that, if it grows well, it's not only just the animal industry. It will be able to even pull out our grain industry through the feed that it's used into our animal, through our feedlots. So I see it as a very critical industry. And those concepts that you talked about, which is your compartmentalization as well as the traceability, are just the enablers to achieve all these things that I'm talking about.
Dr. Sean Morris said it, and he referred to willingness. He made the comment that the people on the ground, the industry role players needs to have the willingness to do this. Traceability, for example, and compartments. Do you see that there's a willingness? I mean, from your side, from the NMC side, have you seen this willingness?
What we're picking up, because at the NMC, we're sort of like a bridge between the private industries as well as the public sector players. And what is very encouraging is that we're starting to see an increased level of trust between the two worlds, if I can use it. I know it's a wrong thing to say two worlds because they're supposed to work together, you know. And for reasons that we all know coming back from the sector and the country where we come from. But certainly, I don't even think the willingness should be a question because even the market dictates the willingness to be there. But what we want to see over and above just the willingness in terms of commitment of paper, we're starting to see even a strong commitment and targets where there even a willingness to commit the resources so that you can be able to create this traceability system that we need. But we're also starting to see commitment in terms of the infrastructure that is required because the system on its own is just one, but you have to even revive some of the things that we have left to collapse. Like a simple thing as the dipping systems in the communal areas that can assist with information. And that's another area that is lacking, that we don't have credible information, particularly from the imaging side, which tend to affect the way you build your traceability system into the country. So that willingness, we're seeing it's increasing, and it's only our hope that it will actually just manifest and move from just being a commitment in the boardroom, but we see this system implemented and properly financed on the ground.
Yeah. I think the possibilities, maybe economically speaking, the possibilities is so big. I mean, if we look at traceability and compartments and the like, with regards to finance, I mean, you just mentioned it. If we can put in a system, and system is maybe the wrong word, but a product, let's say we produce a product whereby emerging farmers and commercial farmers, the like, can finance cattle rather to put up security on land, because and I think there's so many opportunities in South Africa and there's so many opportunities in our world, and we need to maybe lift the veil and look beyond what the old traditional things were, how we operated, and we need to look at new things and see if it works. If it doesn't work, then we leave it, but I think there's many opportunities.
Absolutely. You know, I think this discussion is very opportune because we're having this discussion at a time where the different social partners in our sector are trying to really find the solution into our structural issues that have faced our sector, not only just the animals, but have really constrained growth in the past. And you just mentioned some of the very key ones. It just starts by understanding and increasing access to your factors of production, which is land. And I think for when we look at it, because some of the emerging farmers operate in your communal system where tenure security is an issue. But we started to see even from the policymaker side where they've produced some of the clarity in terms of the policies of how do you even allocate land, and those policies like the land beneficiary selection strategy, which is in the public domain. And these are just the building blocks that we all need, and also the infrastructure that I talked about earlier. But what is also key is that access into affordable capital so that you build in farmers that are sustainable and are competitive and are linked into market. So that we even shift away from this, we even shift away from this strong dependence of the emerging farmers into the state. But we want to create a new crop of emerging farmers that can form strong partnership with their counterpart in the commercial sector because they have the knowledge, they have the network that they can assist into the market. And if all those building blocks are put in place, absolutely we will be able to achieve and realize all these opportunities we're talking about. And then the concept of compartmentalization, which deals now with the animal health and ensuring that the image of the country continues even if we have an outbreaks, it becomes now an explanatory tool that we are able to use when we continue expanding these export markets with our trading partners in the international market. So I guess what I'm trying to really say and emphasize is to really agree with you to say the opportunity is very immense into the animal industries. And it is an industry that hold the key not only to just grow our agricultural sector and our emerging and the commercial farmers to make them more profitable, but it can really revolutionize our rural economy because almost every household in our villages have a cow or so. And how do you create that systems and make them to be market linked is really one of the key that we have to sort it out.
I agree.
I think from my side, listening to you, one important question is there's a saying that, every man for himself, God for all of us, right? How important is it with all these sectors that are available? How important is it as farmers in general to merge and become one and work together?
At least today we're talking to Deval, which is a animal guy. So let me show you one of our friends in the one of the industries that have done really well, and I want to show by example the question you're asking to say how important is that farmers work together. If we look in our country, and we look at our agriculture economy have grown almost double in volumes from 1994 to what it is today. But if you're looking at the fruit industry, they've actually done extremely well. And one of the golden ticket that the fruit industries have managed to do well is to be structured and to have one voice, ranging from the manner in which they open the markets, the manner in which they put this traceability system we're talking about, the manner in which they coordinated the information, and the manner in which they influence policy. And I think that is a function of credible institutions, both in the private sector as well as in the public sector, and those institutions working together. And I think for me, that's a golden ticket, even the industries like red meat and white meat and in livestock in general. If they can just build on that success that the fruit industry, I believe, they've managed to secure, will be a golden opportunity for the red meat industry. So it's so critical that they work together, because then when you have a system and you're working together, at least everybody comply with that. So you don't have leakages in the system which tend to affect your market and your image of it. And all that needs that every player must comply to the rule-based farming systems and be able to make sure that we all drive into one objective, which is the inclusivity that we want to see and the industry that are growing in the inclusive manner.
In agreement.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sifiso Ntombela. Truly appreciate your time today.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Appreciate
you,
it.
Sifiso. Good to have you.
Thank you.